February 2, 2026, a preliminary investigation was conducted for the plunder cases against former Senator Bong Revilla and Senator Jinggoy Estrada. Hindi po dumating si Senator Jinggoy and Senator Bong Revilla because this day specifically was for the receipt merely of the complaints and the documents filed by the complainant NBI. So tinanggap lang po nila yung complaint and yung mga additional documents by the NBI, and this was done to their counsels, so they did not have to appear. And they are scheduled to appear at the next scheduled hearing for the submission of their counter affidavits. Ang nangyari po today is the NBI requested for additional days to submit additional documents in support of their complaint. So they were given an opportunity to do so, and at which time sina Bong Revilla po and all the other respondents will then file their counter affidavits. So yun po yung nangyari today. The next setting is on February 12, 2026. And then we will see how it will proceed from there.
Si Secretary Bonoan nandito kanina.
Nandito rin po sila.
Ano ginawa niya, sir?
Si Secretary Bonoan po is a correspondent of Senator Jinggoy Estrada in the Plunder case. So, sa similar case po na yun, nag-file ng counter affidavit niya. Well, no, he received the complaint. Okay, kasi ang filing po ng counter is only after such time na basa nila yung complaint, and then they can lay out their defenses.
And the two engineers, sir?
We also saw Bryce Hernandez.
So yes, Bryce Hernandez and JP Mendoza were here earlier for separate cases of tax evasion filed by the Bureau of Internal Revenue. So hiwalay pa po dun sa plunder cases. Let's take note that magkaiba po yung kaso, and iba po yung timeline ng mga kaso na yun for tax evasion.
Nag-file siya ng counter?
Yes po.
Sir, how about Sally Santos, sir? Nandito din si Sally Santos.
Sally Santos does not have a pending, well, he did not appear for a preliminary investigation. But, you know, these witnesses kasi, as admitted state witnesses, they would come in and out naturally of the department to discuss with the Witness Protection Program. So, may mga matters po silang din-discuss in accordance with the commitments that they have under their Memorandum of Agreement.
May commitment ba, sir, na panibagong restitution na iba ka rin?
Well, as we know po, no, for Sally Santos specifically,
Yes po.
ano po yan, as total na binigay niya ay 20 million na. As to how much more she will be giving, that's under the terms of the MOA. As far as we know, currently 20 million na po ang current standing niya, and there will be nothing added to that. For Sally Santos specifically, no?
Yung present total ng restitution.
316 million pa rin po lahat-lahat. Let's take note. The breakdown, that's 20 million for Sally Santos. 80 million was given by Engineer Opulencia. 180 million was given by si former District Engineer Henny Alcantara. And Yusek Bernardo gave the remainder. I'll have to do the math, but yun po. 316 million in total ang bigay ng lahat.
Sir, yung iba may balance na wala pa tayong deadline?
Wala pong deadline, no? Because the Memorandum of Agreement is something that they agreed between among themselves. So as long as the case is proceeding, ano po yan, they have all that period of time to give back the amount. Let's take note po na hindi po kasi precondition ang magbalik ng pera to be admitted into the program. So we cannot impose deadlines on that. May voluntary commitment po yan. So being voluntary, we cannot impose deadlines on that. Kusang loob po nila binibigay yan.
Sir, balik lang kay Bonoan. Paano yun? Nagsubmit na siya ng counter affidavit pero magsasubmit ng NBI ng dagdag sa complaint nila?
Hindi po, sorry, let me clarify. Hindi pa po nagsasabit ng counter si Secretary Bonoan. Today was, since first setting po, tanggap lang po na complaint, tanggap lang. And then from there, babasahin ang abogado nila, doon pa lang po magpa-file ng counter affidavit.
Sir, may nabanggit si Secretary Bonoan na may balak siyang bumalik na Amerika to visit his wife. Papayagan ba yan ang DOJ?
Well, ano po kasi yan, no? The DOJ, I think we have to clarify, is in no position to be saying yes or no or be giving permission to any applicant or any respondent who wishes to travel. Because as long as they are respondents at hindi pa sila akusado, they have the right to travel anywhere they would wish so. Pero syempre may qualification po yan. Kapag under sila ng Immigration Lookout Bulletin Order ng Bureau of Immigration, bantay sarado. So any movement that they make across different jurisdictions will be closely monitored. And yung pag-ask nila ng permission o pagbigay nila ng notice sa DOJ is just their indication of good faith. But in the grand scheme of things, legally, yung Department of Justice is in no position to say, sige, pwede ka umalis, sige, you can stay, you can move different jurisdictions. Again, may constitutional right to travel pa po kasi sila habang hindi pa sila akusado sa isang kaso filed in court.
So far, wala pang notice, sir?
Sir, yung elbow, it stays pa rin, may effect pa rin yun.
The effect of the elbow is any movement is closely monitored. Diba? As opposed to talagang walang oversight. Right? But of course, I mean, clearly, it's not as strong as a hold and departure order where you cannot leave the country. Basta may HDO, bawal ka na talaga lumabas. No, that's applied with the courts. So up until such time na ihain yung information sa court, na file in court, that's after preliminary investigation. Doon pa lang po pwede mag-file ng motion ang prosecution and only then can the judge act upon it.
So far, wala pang notice na nasasubmit sa Secretary?
Si Bonoan to us, wala pa po.
Sir, yung NBI na magdadagdag pa sila doon sa complaint, ano to, requirement ng panel or on their own sinabi nila yun?
That's on their own prerogative, sir. Prerogative nila yun. The panel did not require them because the panel is in no position to be requiring the NBI to be submitting. Because again, the panel has to be impartial. Complainant and respondent yan. So if the complainant says, okay, we're lacking evidence, at least at this stage now sa preliminary investigation, iba pa po yung case built up. That precedes PI. During PI, pag nakita po nila na NBI on its own as private complainant, may kulang pa to, nais namin mag-submit ng additional to support our claims, then they will manifest that with the panel of prosecutors. So yung NBI po nagsabi sa panel na dagdagan namin to kasi meron pa kaming hinihintay and then we will file it. Give us some time to file it.
Sir, ibig sabihin sa Barton, wala pa makakapagsabit ng counter affidavit?
Wala pa po. Wala pa po. Sometime after that pa.
Maybe.
Sir, tapos tanong ko naman, si Bonoan lang po ba nag-appear na respond?
Sorry sir, no. Let me correct myself. Feb 12, as soon as they have the complaint, they can then file it. And as soon as they have the additional documents by the NBI. Now, NBI was given until Feb 12 to submit those additional documents. Pwede po nilang isubmit na mas maaga. If they do so and the parties are furnished, the respondents can then file as soon as the day after nakuha nila yung documents.
Baka na-interpret na mahina yung kaso or mahina yung evidence.
Hindi po. Well, I think that's, let's not speculate. Because of course, voluminous ang documents. Masalimuot po yung kaso. It's very complex. The documents NBI has, baka maraming rason bakit hindi pa nila siguro na-submit. Kinokulate pa, sobrang dami, hindi na-print, hindi umabot ngayong date. So it's a lot of reasons. I don't think it's safe to say na mahina. Let's not go there. Let the panel do its job.
May we know anong details na pwede ninyong masabi kung ano pa yung pwedeng isubmit ng NBI at nila hiningi yung
Hindi ko po masasabi, sir. I'm afraid. I mean, that's only the panel actually knows what evidence the NBI wishes to submit further. No one else in the DOJ knows. Sagrado po yung mga ganyang proceeding eh. Yung mga fiscals lang po talaga may alam.
Zaldy Co, sir, paki-on lang. So, yung kanya correct.
Zaldy Co,
Plunder.
the Plunder case against Zaldy Co, yes, it's there are pending incidents currently, so it's still under investigation. Okay, as to when po ma-submit yung re-release yung resolution, let's remember na may 60 days po from the time that the case was filed for the prosecutors to resolve the matter. So if the case was filed January 5, which it was filed on that date, then 60 days after po yung deadline. So anything in between that, marami po pwedeng mangyari, di ba? As long as within 60 days, ma-resolve yung kaso. And in fact, that's even extendable by 30 days for complex cases under the rules.
Sir, itong pending incidents, kailangan pa ba i-submit yung parties or wala na?
As far as I know po, pending incident lang na different motions. Yung kailangan submit, I cannot answer that because only the prosecutors po would know kung ano yung what's really going on. There are so many moving parts po kasi. So, and that applies not just to the whole flood control issue, but to each and every case na pending before us related to those anomalies.
Pero wala na sir, but so far wala pang setting kung magkakaroon ba siya.
Wala pa po.
So, iintayin ba siya, sir, na bumalik? Paano ba yun? At paano response ng DOJ dun sa mag-witness daw siya sa impeachment kay Revilla?
No, hindi po. We do not need to wait for Mr. Zaldy Co to return here. If he does not wish to file his counter affidavit, that's his choice. The prosecutors will not be bound by his decision because again, we're working with a timeline of 60 days. So kung hindi po siya nag-submit, then the panel will resolve based on whatever evidence he submitted or lack thereof.
But what if dumating siya pero for the testimony dun sa impeachment niya BBM, may
Well,
ano ba ang DOJ?
Different matter na po yun in that case, no? These cases are done individually, independent sila of each other. So if he does testify in that regard, that doesn't affect what goes on here with respect to the plunder case against him.
Sir, by the way, dito sa PIS, alam po bang gusto?
Opo, siya lang. As far as I know, yes, siya lang.
Ako din siya, sir.
Sorry, si ano rin pala. So we have Bonoan as a correspondent in Senator Jinggoy's plunder case. And there is also Henry Alcantara, who we know is an admitted witness. But kahit admitted witness na po si Mr. Henry Alcantara, that does not absolve him or excuse him from submitting his counter affidavit. He will still have to file his defenses. Yes, in both.
Discaya tax evasion, sir.
Oh, sige. Okay. So on January 14, 2026, no, 5 cases regarding the Discayas were solved. Two of which found prima facie evidence with reasonable certainty of conviction to indict and charge the Discayas with a violation of sections 154 and 155 of the National Internal Revenue Code. That's a tax code. Ibig po sabihin yan, under that code, is they failed to supply the correct and truthful information in their respective income tax returns. In fact, they concealed their true income in their ITRs for 2 taxable years. That's taxable year 2020 and 2021. And ito pong concealment, ginawa nila in their respective capacities as sole proprietors of St. Gerard Construction in the case of Curlee Discaya or Pacifico Discaya II, and for Fine Things Fashion, which is also a single proprietorship by Sara Discaya. So nakita po ng panel prosecutors na in these 2 cases, tinago nila yung exact and true income nila, concealed it from their ITRs or their income tax returns. And for that reason, isasampa po yung kaso with the Court of Tax Appeals, CTA, which has jurisdiction over these offenses, given that certain amount. So yun po yun nangyari sa 2 kaso na yun. Now, again, I said 5 because in 3 other cases, na-dismiss naman po yung kaso. What those 3 other cases refer to, ano naman po yan, ibang tax. Hindi siya income tax, it's excise tax. And alam po natin na excise tax is, under the law, is payable by the importer. Nakita po ng panel na hindi importer sina Sarah and Curlee, so they were not liable for non-payment of excise tax. Ang may liability po magbayad ng excise tax would be yung nag-import talaga, kanino nila binili yung mga kotse. Kasi motor vehicles po yung subject ng mga kaso na to eh. So nakita nila na sina Discayas were end consumers, not the importers. They cannot be liable for non-payment of excise tax sa 3 kaso po na yon. So again, it's 5, 3 dismissed, 2 will proceed to court.
3, ganun ba yun, sir? 3 motor vehicles, kaya 3 kaso.
Hindi po, ano yan eh, in those 3 cases, 2 motor vehicles each. Let's go through the records. So sa isang kaso po na yon, it concerned, so let's start with Bureau of Internal Revenue versus Sara Discaya. That case concerned 2 subject motor vehicles, 1 Land Rover / Range Rover Evo and 1 Cadillac Escalade. That was dismissed because they were not liable for excise tax, not being the importers. The second case of BIR versus St. Gerard Construction, Pacifico Discaya II and Cesar Discaya, that was dismissed. That concerned 2 motor vehicles as well, a Land Rover Range Rover LWB and a Mercedes-Benz Sprinter 316 CD. And then the third case concerns 2 more motor vehicles, a Mercedes-Benz V2020 CDI Avant and 1 Dodge Ram Rebel. So yun po yung mga coaching concerning these 3 cases. That's total 6 cars. So the excise tax po issued do not income tax. Okay, thank you.
Yun.